Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be doing kind of like a first impression review because I haven't had a ton of time to play around with these yet, but just like a first impression type of review for two palettes I picked up from BH Cosmetics, the Nightshade palette and the Absinthe palette. They're both from the Poison Shock collection. These are 9-pan eyeshadow palettes. And I will show you the inside of them here. I have also put swatches on my arms, which I will get to in a second here. So this is the Nightshade, and this is the Absinthe. I'll try and get as close as I can, but my camera really likes to never focus on things that are close up, so it's a little bit easier if I get closer with them. Usually that helps. Bear in mind that my lighting in here is pretty, I don't know, it's not ideal. So, I don't take that how you will. Okay, so let's just get into my first impression just looking at the palettes. So one thing I noticed right away when I got them was that I found that they looked very different from the promo pictures on the BH Cosmetics website. So what do I mean by that is, this one, for example, and it's even doing it on my camera, it looks really cool tone and like muted, but in person, it's very bright. Like I can't even stress that enough because it really isn't showing up that way on camera, but in person, like particularly this shade here and this shade at the bottom here, they're neon. They are like neon green. So just be aware that that's what you're gonna get when you order this. It's gonna be very, very bright. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is what it is. And then this one, my biggest gripe with this one again is that it didn't match the promo pictures on the website, because the promo pictures made it really look like a purple palette, like 100% purple palette, and as you can see, it's very pink. Like the website picture made it look a lot more blue leaning, like, you know, like even these very bright pinks here like kind of looked more like a magenta purpley kind of color, and now that I'm seeing it in person, it's very much pink, except for, you know, a couple of shades down here, and then these two here are pretty true purples, but the rest of them are very pink. Again, not necessarily a bad thing, but if you're trying to get like a 9-pan monochromatic purple palette, this is not going to be it for you. So let me go into the swatches, so see if I can, the best way I can sort of show them here. So these are the swatches from the Nightshade palette. I'm gonna try, it's just so difficult for me to move my arm that way for some reason. Let's do it this way. Alrighty, that'll work. So those are the shades in there. That's actually working pretty well. So they're actually really beautiful, and this is where my praise is gonna come in. My first impression of the quality is actually really good. The shimmers are really quite reflective and pigmented, and the mattes even are quite quite pigmented, and they're very buildable as well. Like the 3 matte shades, when you layer it on top of itself, it really builds up. So I'm actually really happy with that. As I said, I don't really like hot pink as a color on me, so I'm a little bit disappointed that like this shade here, this one here, and this one here are pretty much colors that I would never reach for, and I wasn't expecting that, and that's like a big chunk of the palette, so that's a little disappointing, but maybe I can find a way to work it in. But just gonna try and show you them again. Yeah, so that's kind of how they look. Really, really pretty. I do have a bit of a gripe with the fact that the pink shimmers, like the 2 pink shimmers here and here, they're almost identical. So like when your palette's only 9 pans to begin with, it doesn't really make sense to have 2 colors that look almost identical. So there's that. Let's go into the other one, the Absinthe one, which is the green one. I've got those swatched on this arm. Now let's see if I can get as good of a... It's going to be difficult again for my camera to really show it, but essentially I have the same reaction for both. Like I find these perform essentially the same, if not maybe a little less punchy than the ones in the Nightshade palette, but it could be just because I didn't build them up quite as much. Like, that's the one thing I really do appreciate about these palettes, is they are really buildable. Like, you can layer it up, and then it gets a little bit, you know, more dramatic. As far as the color selection goes, I think it's pretty, like, for me anyways, it doesn't translate as much, like, how do I say this? When I said it looks super, super neon in the pan, that's true. But when I put it on my arm, it's not too bad. Like, I feel like it's kind of toned down a little bit. If you can see that. There are just those two that are like super bright, and they do kind of look super bright on the skin too. My lighting just isn't really conveying that, but it is the case that they're pretty bright. My swatches, like I said, on this webcam, they're really bad, but I did take pictures of my swatches on my camera on my phone, and they turned out a lot better in terms of being able to actually see what they look like. So I'm going to post those on my Instagram, and I'll link the Instagram below if you want to see the actual photographs. But yeah, overall, I'm really excited to have these, and I'm really excited to use them. And I just want to comment on the fact that they both have 3 matte shades on the top row, and then the other 6 are shimmers. And for me, personally, I think that's the perfect ratio of mattes to shimmers. A lot of times I find palettes don't get this right. Like, they either do like all mattes, all shimmers, which in my opinion is a bit of a disaster for a palette, because you pretty much have to reach into another palette to complement it. And if that's how you like to do your makeup, then I guess it's not a problem. But for people who want to just stick to the one palette, that's going to be annoying. But then other times I find they're just like half and half mix is kind of too many mattes for my personal preference, because I tend to use the mattes just as like a base, and then like kind of to deepen it, and then I use mostly shimmers more often. Again, that could be personal preference, but if you're like that as well, then I think you'll appreciate that they have basically a 2-to-1 ratio of shimmers to mattes. And these, I will mention also, are not the only 2 in the collection. They, I think, started out with 5 different palettes in this collection, but I went on the website recently and they brought it down to only 3. These 2 are in the 3, and then there's one other one, I believe. I don't know if they're planning to restock those other 2, or if they just didn't sell as well and they decided they were just going to discontinue them. But as of right now, at least, I believe these are still available, and there is one other color story that you can choose from there as well. But overall, for the price, I think these are really good. I got them on sale, so I don't know the actual price that they are right now, because BH Cosmetics tends to have a lot of sales off and on, especially during the holiday time, which is when I picked them up. I think I only paid $8 or something for them, so they were pretty affordable. So overall, I'm very happy with them, and I just wanted to give you guys my first impression in case you're thinking about pulling the trigger on buying them. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Like I said, if you want better swatches, go to the Instagram. It's going to be a much better representation of what they actually look like on the skin compared to this crappy webcam. But this was the easier way for me to explain my thoughts out loud. So that's all I have for you guys today. I will see you guys in the next video. If you can like and subscribe, that would be awesome. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.